once we go back to the syllabus, what we have covered in the previous class. See, in business laws, we have covered law of contracts. So, including essential elements of an already contract. 10 essential elements are there. They are mentioned in Indian Contract Act 1872. Indian Contract Act was established in the year 1872, that we came to know. And under section 10 of Indian Contract Act, 10 essential elements are there. Okay. So this we have discussed. Now we will see about contingent contract. What is a contingent contract? Okay. Types of contracts we have seen, we have discussed with examples. And we will see what is a contract. Contingent contract. See, a contingent contract is that contract which is a contract to do or not to do something if some event collateral to such contract does or does not happen. Okay, I will explain. First of all, I will explain it with an example, then you will be able to understand. Okay, now you see what is a contingent contract. See, he is a person, he has a house. Okay, this is his house. Let us take for example. I am not a good artist, simply I have drawn. Now you check. Here another person is there. There is a contract between the two. There is an agreement between the two. If this house is burnt in a fire accident, if this house is burnt in a fire accident, I will pay you 10,000 rupees to you. That is agreement between these two parties. Kindly understand. He has a house and he entered into agreement with this person, entered into contract with this another person. Just like insurance, fire insurance. If his house is burnt by fire accident, he will pay 10,000 to this person. The happening or not happening of that incident is not in anybody's hand. Please try to understand. The burning of house is not in his hands. It is in God's hands or somebody else, nature's hands. So that incident is not influenced by anybody. He does not have any influence or control over fire accident. This person also has no control over fire accident. And the future event is uncertain. Whether the house will be burnt or it is not going to be burnt, that event is uncertain. That incident is uncertain. And that is collateral to the contract. Collateral means it is just supportive, it is not main. So the main agreement is to paying 10,000 rupees and protecting the house. This is the agreement. So collateral, fire accident is collateral. It has no role to play actually. So main two things are there. One is 10,000 rupees, another one is house, protection of house. These are the two things. Happening of fire accident is collateral to the contract. That is what we mean by saying. So these are the essential features of a contingent contract. According to this is defined under section 31 of Indian Contract Act. Please, you have to note down all the sections. In examination, they may ask the section according to which section contingent contract is defined. Okay. So contingent contract is that contract in which to do or not to do something depends on happening or not happening of a certain incident or a certain event. So here payment of 10,000 rupees depends on the event of happening of fire accident. Only in that case amount will be paid. So payment of 10,000 is depending on fire accident. So that incident is uncertain. That incident is collateral to the agreement, and no party has any role to play in the fire accident. So this is what you will be saying contingent contract. Okay. Now please try to understand contingent contract is different from wagering agreement. Wagering agreement, you cannot tell that wagering contract will not be there. Wagering agreement. See, what is wagering agreement? Now let us take for example, both of them depend on an incident of future, which is related to future. Both of them are uncertain. Both of them are collateral. But now you see, I will tell you with an example. Presently, IPL matches are being played between various groups of teams. See, if two parties entered into agreement, if Chennai Super Kings wins, I will pay this much. If Chennai Super Kings loses, you have to pay me that amount. So here, incident is there, which will happen in future, which is uncertain. It is not in our hands, the winning or losing of Chennai Super Kings. And it is collateral. Our main task is payment of money, if winning or losing. So here, that event, both of us do not have any role to play in winning or losing. So wagering, but the main difference between wagering agreement and contingent contract is, in wagering agreement there is no interest attached to the parties. See, actually I do not have any interest. Even if Chennai Super Kings wins or loses, I do not lose money, any money, even a single rupee from my pocket. I am in no way concerned. But if this house is burnt, I am physically depressed. I am going to be depressed, mentally depressed. I am physically going to be at a loss financially. Whereas in wagering agreement, there is no interest attached. Okay. They do not have any interest. The wagering is a void agreement. Please remember, wagering agreement is void. Means it is not enforceable by law. So that is why in newspapers we will see IPL betting racket has been busted by the police. The police have arrested so and so idiots because they are involved in IPL betting or any other betting. So that is illegal activity. That is barred by the law of the land. Whereas contingent contracts are valid contracts. Please remember, in types of contracts, I mentioned what is a valid contract. A valid contract is a valid contract which fulfills all the 10 essential features of a valid contract. So a contingent contract, all the 10 essentialities of a contract will be fulfilled. This is just like, take for example, insurance policy. See, insurance policy will be taken to reduce our risk. In that case also, future incident will be there, dying, death, or policy term is completed. That is the incident, and that uncertain event will be there. Birth and or death, nobody will be able to control. Okay, so insurance policies are, that is why they are valid contracts. They fulfill all the conditions of valid contract that are mentioned in Indian Contract Act 1872 under Section 10. Whereas wagering agreement, it stops at only agreement. That is why I clearly discriminated between agreement and contract. See, agreement stops at the term agreement only. If it is not enforceable by law, if it does not fulfill any one of the conditions of essential features of a contract, it cannot be termed as contract. It is wagering agreement, that's all. Agreement which is enforceable by law is a contract. So that is why wagering agreements, you should not term wagering contract. You should not pronounce, you should not write. Wagering contract, you should not write. Wagering agreement, it is prohibited under law. It cannot be enforced. I hope you understood. So contingent contract is defined under section 31. So any events, so the parties involved will be joined together based on the happening or unhappening, not happening of an incident which is uncertain and which is collateral to the contract. Okay. Now coming to what is breach of contract. Okay. In Telugu you will call as contract bhangam. Breach of contract. Breach of a contract. Now this is breach of contract. What is breach of contract? See, this term we have to understand properly. Breach. See, breach means if parties fail to fulfill their promises, that is breach of contract. See, in the previous example we have done, if this house is burnt, other party will pay 10,000 rupees. The house is burnt, but the other party did not pay. That is breach of contract. What is breach of contract? They will give options, multiple options. Breach of contract implies if a party does not fulfill its promise, fail to fulfill promise, that amounts to breach of contract. Contract bhangamu. In breach of contract, one party fails to fulfill. Okay. So in that case, what will happen? Okay. These are the various options. So other party may ask for dissolution of the contract. Okay. So if one party fails to fulfill its duty, fulfill its promise, that is breach of contract. So dissolution of contract or writing off of the contract. Okay. Compensation can be paid. They can demand compensation from the court. So now here the party who has given 10,000 rupees for insuring his house can ask for compensation from the court. They can file a case in the court demanding 10,000 from the party which has insured. Okay. Similarly, not only compensation, but from the eligible compensation can be claimed. Eligible compensation is not only 10,000, but also another 2,000 also extra for going through mental strain, mental agony, mental suffering. Also, they can ask for another extra 2,000 or 3,000 or the case may be. Okay. Then suppose if this party does not want money, they want only they do not want any extra money, but reconstruction they do not want. But they can ask the court to implement whatever the other party has told clearly. The other party has told clearly to pay 10,000 rupees in case of fire accident. So that can be made to be paid by the other party to this person who has lost his house in fire accident. So specifically whatever the other party has told to do, that can be ensured with the help of court. Okay. Nisheda uttarunaku dava means injection. The court may give, we can approach court for an injection order. Injection order means that the other party is unable to fulfill their promise, to fulfill his promise. So whatever he wants to in other way, that can be prevented by making a case, filing a case in the court. So these are the various options available for a party who suffered breach of contract. So here this person has suffered breach of contract. He has lost his house, but the other party has failed to fulfill the promise. In that case, the contract may be cancelled. Compensation can be made to be paid. Additional compensation may be claimed, or he does not want any compensation, but exactly 10,000 only he may claim, or the not this incident, but in any other incident. In any other incident, we may ask the court to prevent the incident from happening. These are various modes of discharge of a contract. See, in a contract, two parties will be there. Both of them, if they fulfill their promise, that is well and good. And another way is there, in which one party will fulfill its promise, other party will not fulfill. Or both the parties fail to fulfill their promises. So in that case, what actions can be taken? That will be discussed in the discharge of a contract. What are the various modes of discharge of a contract? Okay, discharge of a contract means whether parties are able to fulfill their promises or not. That will be described by discharge of a contract. Okay. So suppose if a party has failed to fulfill its promise, then cancellation may take place. If both the parties agree to cancel the contract, in that case, the contract is deemed to be discharged without any court intervention. They come for settlement. Let us take, for example, simple general example I am taking. Suppose a road accident happened, minor road accident. Actually, the aggrieved party has to file a case against rash driving or against the loss that is suffered. But if the incident is minor, they can go for an understanding, common understanding. So similarly, if one party fails to fulfill its promise, they can cancel the agreement, provided both they discuss the terms and conditions. Suppose in previous example, I told that 10,000 will be the compensation in case of fire accident. But now if both of them agree, only 5,000 may be paid, the contract will be cancelled automatically. And renewal of a contract can be done. Renewal of a contract means, suppose now the party is unable to pay 10,000, but again a fresh contract will be reached between the two parties to pay 12,000 rupees. Next year I will pay 12,000 rupees. That is renewal of a contract. And reduction or totally nullifying the contract. See, in this case, I told the example. 10,000, if the case is settled with only 5,000 rupees, that is this one, that comes under this. And changing the date. Okay, immediately in the agreement, in the contract, it was written immediately on the day itself, when the fire accident occurs, on the same day I will pay 10,000. We can change it, not the same day. Within 10 days of fire accident happening, I will pay 10,000 rupees. That is changing. And parityagam chayita means in English, giving up something. Giving up something means, okay, if one party agrees in a friendly manner, so 10,000 I don't want from you because you are suffering. So that is why I will lose my right. So one party gave up their right. They did not exercise their right. That is parityagam chayita. Kalaika means two agreements are there, two contracts are there, combining both of them. A new contract will be formed. In that case, that is known as addition or kalaika in Telugu. So if a party fails to fulfill its responsibility, these are various options available for the aggrieved party. Okay. Now coming to other things. Normally, this concept is very, very important. Doctrine of privity of contract. In examination question may be given. What is the term called as? What do you mean by privity of contract? Suppose you see, here one person is there. Here another person is there. There is a contract between those two parties. He is a lady, he is a gent, lady and a gent. Now you see, if any incident happens, only these two involved who are involved in the contract can file a case in the court. But sometimes a stranger to the contract can also approach court. So this is what we mean by saying doctrine of privity of contract. Privity of contract means only those persons who are involved in the contract can sue each other, can file a case against each other. Others do not have any role to play in the contract. This is what we mean by saying doctrine of privity of contract. A stranger to contract cannot sue. So this person is a stranger. Contract agreement is reached between these two parties. He is a stranger, unknown man, unknown person to the contract. But in certain conditions, third party also can file a case against these parties in a contract. Okay. What do you mean by doctrine of privity of contract? They can give you in the examination. One condition they will say, and what is this known as? We have to say that it is doctrine of privity of contract. In simple terms, stranger to contract cannot sue. Suing means filing a case in court. Others cannot sue, but in certain cases they can sue. Suppose a trust is created. See, this person has given 1 crore rupees to this person and thereby established a trust. He is the chairman of the trust. Out of this 1 crore rupees every year, outstanding achievement achieved by an individual in the field of, let us take for example, economics. Every year, 1 lakh rupees should be paid to a person who has outstanding achievement in the field of economics. Let us take for example, just like Nobel Prizes. So he was declared as a particular year's winner, but the amount is not paid to him. He can file a case against this person who is in charge of the trust. Actually, he does not have any role to play. The agreement was reached between these two parties. But out of the trust generation, he has a profit. He has a benefit. He can receive 1 lakh rupees or 10 lakh rupees as the case may be from the trust because he has won the award. So when trust is created, even an unknown person, even a stranger can file a case. Okay. So similarly, where a charge is created on a specific immovable property. Immovable property means, see, properties, there are different kinds of classifications, but simple classification is movable property, immovable property. So what is movable property? The money in my pocket, the money in my house, I can move to any other place. Okay, that is a movable property. Immovable property is my house, my fixed land. I cannot move it anywhere. Okay, so if at all any charge is created, any charge means, so I have taken loan on my buildings, on the land. So in such a case, even a third party can enter into contract and can file a case against the loan taker and loan giver. So in family arrangements, in case of family arrangements, see, nowadays in newspapers we can see conflicts in families. In such case, even a stranger to a contract can file a case. So these are two brothers in a contract. Okay, under family arrangements, they have to pay certain amount regularly to their maternal uncle. Let us take for example, if one year elder brother pays amount to maternal uncle, next year younger brother pays certain amount to uncle, maternal uncle. Let us take for example, this is the family arrangement. So every year they have to fulfill their promise of payment. Suppose in a particular year, if any of the brother fail to fulfill his promise, uncle, even though he is stranger, he can file a case against the defaulter. Okay. So that is family agreements, family arrangements can be exceptions to the rule. Similarly, agency, third party can sue principal. So you know, principal agent. See, principal is the boss, and his agent will be there. So agent will act on behalf of the principal. Whatever principal says, agent will do. So the agreement here is between principal and agent. So because of agent's role, another party suffered. So he can enter into court and he can file a case against the principal or agent as the case may be. Mainly he will sue against the principal because based on his role only agent performed. Agent did certain acts. So here he is a stranger to a contract. He cannot play any role, but it is an exception to the rule. So doctrine of privity of contract implies outsiders cannot file a case against the parties involved in a contract. But there are certain exceptions to this rule. I hope you understood. Now coming to no consideration, no contract. Exceptions are mentioned in under section 25 of Indian Contract Act. Kindly note. See, in 10 essential conditions of contract, we have learned that consideration should be there. Legal consideration should be there. Legal acceptance should be there. If no consideration is there, no contract will be there. That is general rule. But just like doctrine of privity of contract, here also certain exceptions are there. And they are mentioned under section 25. See, out of natural love and affection, if any contract is agreed between two parties, that is an exception. See, if a father promises to pay to his son or daughter certain amount of money out of natural love, actually he did not receive anything from his son or daughter as the case may be. So in that case, the son or daughter may file a case against the father. Even though there is no consideration for father, please remember. Compensation for services rendered. See, in case of certain services, compensation will be paid. Okay. So even though there is no consideration, the other party has to pay for the services. Time barred debt. This is very, very important to know. In our daily life also it is important. Suppose if I gave 9,000 rupees to another person. Today is, let us take for example, 1/11/2020. Before 31/10/2021, he has to return the amount. Let us take for example. So time bar will be there after the expiry date. From this date to 3 years, I have to recover that amount from this person. Otherwise, it will be termed as time barred debt. Time barred debt will be termed as from the date of expiry of the given loan or taken loan. Within 3 years, the party who has given debt, they have to take steps to see to it that the amount is returned by that taker. Otherwise, it will be termed as time barred debt. This is an exception to no consideration, no contract. Okay. Completed gifts. This is an exception. Agency, remission. So these are all exceptions to no consideration, no contract rule. They are mentioned under section 25.